Alright, this is a brief presentation on pseudoscience and why it's not the greatest. So first we need to talk about what pseudoscience even is. Pseudoscience consists of statements, beliefs, or practices that claim to be both scientific and factual, but are incompatible with the scientific method, according to everyone's favorite source, Wikipedia, and I know you'll have qualms about Wikipedia, but this is fine. So now we're going to talk about some vocab, and when I say vocab in this context, I mean we're going to talk about and define some buzzwords that are commonly thrown around in pseudoscience fields and what they mean instead of how they are used out of context in pseudoscience and how they don't really mean anything when you just say it. The first word is quantum. You hear this thrown around a lot, like quantum healing. But all that quantum really means is the minimum amount of any physical entity that can be involved in an interaction. Atoms are quantum. If you only have one atom, then that's it. It's quantum. It's just one little tiny thing. The next is energy, like your spiritual energy or whatever. Energy is just something's ability to do work. And for the sake of understanding this, work in this context is the energy transferred from an object via the application of a force along a displacement. So, again, nothing very interesting. Other common words include vibrations, which is just the frequency at which something oscillates, and other completely meaningless words like spiritual or mystic. These words have no application in science and should not be used to demonstrate scientific ideas. We're going to talk about this guy named Deepak Chopra. He looks like this, and a lot of people call him the king of pseudoscientific word salad. He was born in 1946 in New Delhi. He studied medicine until the 1970s, when he moved to the United States. Then he worked as a licensed physician until 1985, when he converted to whatever he currently does with all this pseudoscience. That's when he met his wife. So we're going to look at a few quotes from him. 3 of them are real and were actually tweeted, and one of them was just straight up made by a robot, an AI that was fed a bunch of Deepak Chopra nonsense and spat out its own Deepak Chopra quote. And I'm doing this as an exercise to prove that the things this guy says are utterly meaningless and incomprehensible at best. The first is, the invisible is reborn in subtle miracles. The second is, the generosity of spirit is infinite, therefore nothing is more natural than abundance. The third is, I am is nothing morphing into everything. And the fourth is, awareness alone is all existence. You are existence and all else is your symbolic representation. So here are the 4 again. You can pause if you want and think it over. Now that you've had some time to think it over, I'm going to tell you that the one that was made by a robot is, in fact, the first one. And it's kind of funny that these are all so similar and meaningless that you can't tell most of the time that it was made by a robot. Now, this guy has written a lot of books, 197 books. His most famous book is called Ageless Body, Timeless Mind, The Quantum Alternative to Growing Old. But what does that really even mean? Ageless body is just a body that has existed forever. If you have no age, you are eternal. Timeless mind is mind that exists in space-time all at once, because if you are outside of time, you are all of time. It's a weird thing in physics. The quantum is just the smallest amount of a physical entity that can be involved in an interaction, as we established earlier. And alternative to growing old is just alternative to physically aging. So if we put it all together, and we get body that has existed forever, mind that exists in space-time all at once, the smallest amount of a physical entity that can be involved in an interaction, alternative to physically aging, doesn't really mean anything and does not sound like a very appealing book. So why talk about pseudoscience? This just sounds like a bunch of hippie nonsense. But it's not. This stuff can actually have serious repercussions. Pseudoscientists and peddlers of pseudoscience often push their followers to forego actual medical treatment in favor of things like these rock massages, which is where they just wave their hands over you and put warm rocks on you to cleanse your body of toxins, which it actually doesn't. If you want to pay the full price of a massage and not get one, go ahead. and also like chanting and meditation. And while these things like massages and meditation can actually have some amount of relaxing and rewarding properties, they are not and should never be considered alternatives to actual medicine. I have heard pseudoscientists say before that monks in India have been diagnosed with cancer and then just chanted it away. That is not how cancer works. That is straight up not going to happen. On the other side of the pseudoscience coin, we have guys like this, who goes by the name of actualize.org. And he is an interesting man. This screenshot is from a video where he claims that he is God, because he has escaped the matrix of whatever or something, I don't really know. But that he is God because he's all aware and he's all powerful because of his inner spirit has aligned or something, which is funny that he claims to be all-knowing, because about 5 minutes before he says he's God, someone knocks on his door and he gets up and asks, "Who's that?" Which is not very all-knowing of you. But since he is God, anyone who is opposed to him must be the devil. And what do you do to devils? Well, you kill them. And the next 40 minutes of this video are basically him rambling about how devils need to die. But all it really amounts to is that if you disagree with me, you should kill yourself, which is an absolutely insane thing to tell people. I don't know why you would ever listen to that, but unfortunately, the people who are most susceptible to this are vulnerable people who will believe in pseudoscience because they have gone through something traumatic recently, like the death of a loved one, and they will believe anything to try and get them back. And that often falls right into the lap of pseudoscientists who will push these nonsense ideas for profit, and will manipulate you into believing things like this. So whether it's people like actualize.org, Deepak Chopra, this guy on YouTube, Jordan River, he's a kids YouTuber who makes pseudoscience ideas and flat earth videos, and does it with this cute little character so he can pander to children and indoctrinate them earlier. And also the streaming platform Gaia, which is just like History Channel at 3 a.m., but that's all there is on the entire streaming service. These are all very dangerous and can perpetuate very dangerous misinformation and straight up stupid ideas. And it needs to be talked about, because this isn't like, you don't just be like, oh, well, I'm gonna just drink this miracle mineral supplement, which is an actual thing that has been peddled by pseudoscientists for years, is a material called miracle mineral supplement. And it is literally just watered down bleach, and they claim it can cure any ailments, from cancer to autism to depression to literally anything else you could possibly imagine. So probably not so good that people fall for this, because you don't want to give children bleach. And while it may be slightly less convenient to understand real science and real math, versus pseudoscience where it's just like, oh, well, if you drink bleach, then your herpes will go away. That's just straight up not how it works, and although all this math looks intimidating, it's really not. Just seek an education, please.